Seated. We would like to acknowledge the presence of our honorable guests, Dr. Patrick Antoine, CEO and a Technical Director of the CARICOM Private Sector Organization, Dan Martinez, Advisor and Consultant, Romarg Investments Limited, Mr. Rajiv Diptee, Chairman of the Caribbean Supermarket Association, Curtis Mohammed, Executive Director, Caribbean Supermarket Association, our sponsors, so many of you represented here today, the Board of Directors of the Supermarket Association of Trinidad and Tobago, family and friends, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. I am Samantha Best, and I am extremely pleased to be your host this morning for the inaugural Caribbean Food and Beverage event. Now, for the past few months, our team members have been rigorously planning a culinary festival unlike any other, bringing together taste buds and minds of those of you who will forever take charge of the food and beverage industry. So with industry leaders, lots of edible sampling, a full live kitchen, and an interactive delivery system to those via the World Wide Web, let us begin what is to be a culinary festival that stimulates our senses, minds, and network. To give a brief welcome and also to let us know what is in store, I would like to welcome to the stage Dr. Patrick Antoine, CEO and a Technical Director of the CARICOM Private Sector Organization.
Colleagues, thank you. Thank you very much. We somehow thought there were one or two colleagues before us. But when we're called, we are happy to take the lead, certainly on this occasion. And so the minister is not yet here, so I want to recognize her in her absence, Senator the Honorable Paula Gopee-Scoon, and I'm sure that you will convey that to her. Mr. Rajiv Diptee, President of the Caribbean Supermarkets Association, Mr. Dan Martinez, the Advisor and Consultant of Romarg Investments, and I understand that he is a diamond sponsor of this excellent event. The Board of Directors of the Trinidad and Tobago Supermarkets Association, specially invited guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, and friends all. It is an honor for me on behalf of the CARICOM Private Sector Organization to be addressing you at this opening ceremony, thank you, of the Caribbean Food and Beverage Trade Show, and to provide some perspectives from the CARICOM Private Sector Organization on matters of food security, providing wholesome and nutritious food for the Caribbean, and reducing extra regional imports. As a precursor to my presentation, I want to say to you that the CARICOM Private Sector Organization was recognized as an associate institution of the Caribbean community at the 41st regular meeting of the heads of government in October 2020, in short, in the midst of the pandemic. The mandate of the CPSO is to contribute fully to the realization of the CARICOM single market and economy, and of course at this time, our region's gearing up for the 50th anniversary of the community, first, of course, which emerged in the context of 1973 through the original Treaty of Chaguaramas, right here in Trinidad. For the CPSO, events like this are important because some of our guiding principles include things like representativeness, include things such as participation, include geographic coverage, particularly the coverage of all segments of the agri-food business community. Now, less than a year ago, I think, Mr. Diptee, the Caribbean Supermarkets Association and the CPSO got together and signed a memorandum of understanding. Our shared vision at that time was that our two organizations would contribute to the achievement of the CARICOM single market and economy agenda, particularly in the area of advancing the growth and development of agri-food enterprises and stimulating agri-food trade across the community. It is as good a time as any for me to say to you that in Trinidad and Tobago, the initiative that you have started is particularly important because Trinidad and Tobago, of course, is the largest beneficiary of the CARICOM arrangements in trade, accounting for approximately 48% of intra-regional trade in agri-food products across our community. And so this event, which we are starting in Trinidad and Tobago, we had the first last year, this event is particularly significant as we try to grow out what you're doing here at this event across the community by increasingly over the years bringing to Trinidad and Tobago firms in the agri-food sector that are able to participate and to showcase their products in a forum of this nature. I want to also say that this event today is happening just after the release of an important study, which in the last 3 days was released by the World Food Programme. And that study indicates that based on the results for the survey done up until May 2023, approximately 52% of our region, the people of our region, remain food insecure. And I want that to sink in this morning, that 52% of our CARICOM people, even after COVID, continue to suffer food insecurity. What is even more profound is that this is a 10% reduction on the figures based on the study that was done in August 2022. It is also important for us to recognize that of this 52% that suffer food insecurity, 97% of them suffered from what they claimed to be moderate to high food price increases. This is why events of this nature matter, to the extent that we could leverage the solutions within our region to address the issue of high food prices and reduced choice by unleashing the immense potential that exists in the agri-food community and the business sector in this country. I want to say that we must leave here recognizing that there is an urgent priority that we all increase our investments, increase our ideas, and unleash innovative approaches to addressing this food crisis. And so, colleagues, there are a couple of points I want to raise in terms of ideas that we believe must be taken on board in recognizing what often comes across as a pretty static discussion when it comes to the matter of food and food insecurity, and increasingly when it comes to the matter of non-communicable diseases. The first thing is that we need to recognize that there is the value of time that has to be considered when we're talking about increasing the food output of CARICOM in a way that fits into the consumption baskets of households. In short, the value of time has a significant effect on food consumption patterns. What is important too is to recognize that as you look over the last 20 years, we have more and more women who are coming into the workplace. And as a result of that, and the fact that of the micro and small enterprise business sector, 40% are now women. You now have situations where women have less time to be preparing foods that are traditional. And so the innovation that we're talking about is innovation that must address the issue of making foods more convenient. It must address the issue at the same time of ensuring that foods are wholesome and are nutritious. And this is particularly important because we have a particular static and partial discussion taking place which talks about increasing the consumption of traditional foods in CARICOM. We make the point that without thinking about how you take those foods through the value chain, we're not going to be impacting the import numbers that we see, which are driven by a number of things. The import numbers that we see are driven by, one, our populations have grown in income over time. Yes, we have cyclical downturns, but broadly speaking, over the last 20 years, on a per capita basis, Caribbean populations have had more income. I didn't say disposable income, more income. And combined with the demand for convenience, you now have them turning to foods that are more convenient for them to prepare, in a context where the value of their time has become more significant. The other thing is the change in relative prices. We're not going to be able to make an impact on this food crisis without recognizing that we also need to address the cost of our food relative to the cost of imported food. That's not going to happen without innovation. It's not going to happen without technology. It's not going to happen without the right, what we call, enabling environment, where, for instance, our agribusiness community and the sectors that benefit from the space that public policy creates, that they're able to benefit in the same way as the products coming from the countries produced by producers who compete with us. So, for instance, we've made the point that we need to find innovative solutions for the agribusiness sector, for the inputs that they use, for instance, and not just in Trinidad, that require foreign exchange. We can cripple very good, innovative startups if we starve them of getting the requisite foreign exchange to access the technology, to access the raw materials in a timely manner. And I think these are some of the important things that we want to talk about, and we want to work with the Supermarkets Association on when we speak about this enabling environment that must be created. We must also recognize that there's a big role for marketing, there's a big role for advertising, and there's a big role for promotion. And when you look around this excellent showcase today, you can well understand why it is that we in our region need to have more of these types of events which can showcase the products that are produced. Because beyond that, they essentially remain in obscurity. What we're competing against, let us be very frank, is social media, which is broadly available. But the way in which I think it accesses the platforms, and certainly with the cost of access still high for our foods, without events of this nature where people can touch and feel and taste and come together and engage with each other, we're not going to have the same level of success as the products that we intend to displace when our heads of government talk about displacing extra-regional imports by 25% by 2025. What you're doing here today and what we're engaged in with you is certainly an initiative that matters. It is where we take the policy, prescriptions, and the mandates at a high level and ground them in concrete actions that matter. And so, colleagues, it takes me to my second issue. The issue is that what is also important for us to recognize is that the products that we have here, we've seen several other products of this nature over the years, but we've not created the market regionally for them to thrive. You see, as small states in CARICOM, we face a problem of scale. But if we put non-tariff barriers in place, and if we don't reduce the cost for trading, the cost for exporting, then what we do is that we essentially compound the problem by restricting the very good products that we produce to a component of the CARICOM market. We have done in 2018 and 2019 studies on the non-tariff barriers. We have documented them. We don't need to do any more work in documenting them. We spent 2 years in a well-funded exercise looking at every single barrier to trade in our region. What we now need to do is to remove them. Whether they're barriers that exist on products going into other countries, whether they're barriers that exist on products coming here. We have a commitment that dates back to 1968. And we are talking about today commemorating the 50th anniversary of CARICOM, the modern integration process. And many of these barriers that inhibit us taking advantage of the scale that CARICOM represents. CARICOM is about scale. If we don't address these, we are going to have the same kind of results where we have done well, but we have underperformed, as we have over the last 50 years. And I did say before, for emphasis, that Trinidad is a major beneficiary of this agri-food trade that does exist and can grow even more in CARICOM. And that is why it is fitting for us to be discussing these matters today. But I want to tell you that there's another important action that we need to take. You see, we've looked at this experiment where everything that you see here, including the equipment, when we put restrictions in place by not creating the environment or by not enabling scale, we are only hurting ourselves. Because while we do that, the beneficiaries in the same extra-regional markets that we're talking about creating products to displace, they continue to trade freely in the markets where we have put restrictions and we have balkanized in such a way that we can't benefit from scale. Because you see, producing from third countries, they often have access to scale in their own countries and access to scale in the rest of the world. And so it is really important for us that we now start thinking, when we have these initiatives, about how we work with government to ensure that we can benefit from accessing these markets that these excellent products showcased today certainly deserve. I want to wrap up by making one more point, because I think our distinguished speaker, the Minister of Trade and Industry, is here. We have an unfortunate discussion in some quarters taking place on non-communicable diseases. The discussion goes, if we put a particular type of nutrition labeling in place, it is going to change consumer behavior and it is going to lead to a reduction in NCDs. I am using this platform to say that the regional private sector and the CARICOM private sector organization is equally joined with the community on reducing non-communicable diseases. How could we not be? These are our parents, these are our family members, these are our employees, these are people in our community. What we have said is that there is no point putting in place mechanisms that's going to be difficult for us to benefit from scale and scope. And if we don't have, because we are small and we import so much from the outside, a front of package nutritional labeling regime that relates to our trading partners, we're likely to have two effects. One, I already told you about rising food prices, but I gave you the statistics of rising food prices. I also told you about the fact that we need to export more. And we've argued that if we have countries not adopting the same standards, then as producers and traders, we're likely to be maintaining 2 and 3 different types of labels, which have a cost when we're trying to export and to trade within our own borders. And so, what we've said is let us adopt the standards of our trading partners, even while we rationalize how we're going to move forward as a community on this matter. Unfortunately, our message is often not delivered in this way. So when you listen to the regional press, you hear discussions that the food sector is somehow against us developing a healthy region by addressing NCDs because we don't want to adopt the front of package nutritional labeling for processed food and drink. I want you to leave here today with an understanding that none of us can remove ourselves from being joined in this battle. But this battle requires more than labels. This battle requires all of us to be more innovative, to produce more. It requires all of us to give our people choices where they don't have to face the high prices that have caused 52% of them to be food insecure. This battle requires all of us to become more informed, and that is why we support the calorie content initiative that many countries are undertaking at this time. I am speaking to this because I'm inviting you to join this calorie content initiative and to work with us in instituting this package of measures, which includes what we're doing in terms of food access and food availability and bringing down prices and innovating and reformulating the products that we produce so they're more nutritious and they also don't contribute to the levels of factors, salt, and sugar, and other things that help to drive NCDs. But I also want to take this occasion to say that many firms in Trinidad and Tobago are already doing this. And so all I want to do as I leave is to invite you to do more. And so what you're doing today, when you put it in the broad context of where we are in CARICOM, celebrating 50 years, when you put it in the context of addressing non-communicable diseases, when you put it in the context of addressing food insecurity, when you put it in the context of addressing economic growth and employment, when you put it in a context of unleashing the immense potential of this country for micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises that need the enabling policy from governments, when you put it in all of these contexts, what you're doing today, what you've started in Trinidad and Tobago, is definitely transformational. And I just want to say as I leave that the CPSO is delighted to be part of this transformation, and we are pledging to travel this road with you and to be part of this journey for indeed your role in Trinidad and Tobago in the community is great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Dr. Antoine. Dr. Patrick Antoine is a renowned Caribbean intellectual and regional thinker with over 30 years of experience in economics, trade, and policy. He has held influential roles such as ambassador, chief economic and policy advisor, and special advisor to the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation and Agriculture, Director General. Dr. Antoine serves as the CEO and the Technical Director of the CARICOM Private Sector Organization Secretariat, promoting private sector participation in CARICOM. He has authored numerous papers and studies on productivity, trade policy, and economic integration. Once again, a round of applause for Dr. Antoine. We would like to acknowledge the presence of Senator, the Honorable Paula Gopee-Scoon, Minister of Trade and Industry. Thank you so much for being here. Of course, a show like this is unable to happen without sponsors, and would like to acknowledge and thank our diamond sponsor, Romarg Investments Limited. With us is advisor and consultant to Romarg Investments Limited, Dan Martinez. He is an experienced economic and commercial officer with over 25 years in the U.S. Foreign Service. He joined Tritico and Rainey Law Firm as a counsel, and his expertise lies in promoting sustainable economic development and natural resource utilization in Latin America and Southeast Asia. Notably, he played a crucial role in advancing women's financial inclusion through the Women's Entrepreneurship Finance Initiative. With a background in negotiating tax treaties and trade agreements, Dan Martinez focuses on U.S. trade promotion, international business transactions, and resolving market access barriers in Southeast Asia and Latin America. He is also developing a comprehensive practice in export controls and economic sanctions.
Good morning. Good morning, all. Thank you, Dr. Antoine, for your remarks. I am not as gifted a speaker as you are, sir, so I will be very brief. Good morning, and welcome to the Expo. My name is Dan Martinez, and I'm here on behalf of Romarg Investments. And I'm here to deliver a very simple message. Romarg Investments is committed to the well-being and development of Trinidad and the region. For more than a decade, the company has embarked on a broad range of commercial activities to support and empower the national economy through its different divisions. Whether it's commercial shipping, financial services, or information technology, Romarg Investments is working to empower the citizens of Trinidad and to promote inter-regional trade and its other relationships in the Caribbean. I won't dwell on these areas because other members of the Romarg family will go into these areas in more detail. But what is clear is that Romarg's commitment is broad and deep. For over 25 years, I spent a lifetime working as a U.S. diplomat and U.S. companies to strengthen the regions through trade and investment. And in the last year, I have advised Romarg as an outside consultant on various matters. I'm here in Trinidad to get a first-hand look at its multiple enterprise and to explore other areas for growth. Flying in from Houston this past weekend, flying over the Caribbean, one gets a very clear view of the challenges facing the region. Cuba, Haiti, Venezuela. These are challenges that threaten the political and economic stability of the region. Earlier this week, in Cuba, Coco Fariñas, the human rights champion, launched a new hunger campaign to push for freedom of political prisoners. In Haiti, political differences and violence are threatening its very existence. And in Venezuela, the country may yet find an electoral solution to the crisis that has impacted the country and the region. These individual challenges are overwhelming, and when combined, pull the hemisphere towards further chaos. I raise these challenges because at the same time, there is much hope that Trinidad, Guyana, and Suriname in particular will provide the economic growth, the energy that will fuel the economy, not only of those countries, but the whole region. Already, the investments that have been made in energy production are having a very positive influence. And the citizens of Guyana and beyond, their increased purchasing power will provide for more healthier and prosperous populations. Just yesterday, I read that there are over 30,000 direct jobs that will be created in energy production in the coming years. The multiplier effect of these jobs will be felt throughout the region. For Romarg and the Trinidad and Tobago Supermarket Association, this will mean that further investments and opportunities lie ahead, and that the market will reward those that act early to take advantage of this projected growth. So I will close by just noting that Romarg will continue to invest in the agricultural sector and its network of companies to play a decisive and leadership role in the years to come. Thank you. Thank you for your presence and your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martinez. And thank you very much to Romarg Investments. Now I would like to call to the podium the man who has put a tremendous amount of energy into this event, envisioned it, and led to its execution, Mr. Rajiv Diptee. Mr. Diptee is the president of the Supermarket Association of Trinidad and Tobago and also its youngest. He is the chairman of the Caribbean Supermarket Association and the director of Plaza Complex Stop and Shop Supermarket. He has been a visible and vocal advocate for consumer affairs, as well as an active philanthropist during his tenure, engaging in hamper drives, food drives, vaccination efforts, and charities for children. Mr. Diptee possesses a Bachelor of Science degrees in Agribusiness Management and Pharmacy from the University of the West Indies, as well as a Master's in Business Administration from Anglia Ruskin University. Please welcome Mr. Rajiv Diptee.
Good morning to all of you. And can I get another huge round of applause for the opening day of the Caribbean Food and Beverage Trade event? Who thought it would happen? Give yourselves another round of applause. I want to welcome, first of all, I want to recognize our very special guests here, Senator the Honorable Paula Gopee-Scoon, the Minister of Trade and Industry. My excellent colleague from the CARICOM private sector organization, CEO, Mr. Patrick Antoine. It was an excellent message that you transmitted earlier. And I think it resonated very well with the ambitions of this show. Members of the Supermarket Association, the directors of the board of the Supermarket Association, those who really worked with us. Mr. Mohammed, the Executive Director of the Caribbean Supermarket Association, and other specially invited guests from the Chamber of Commerce, our partners in the Food Distributors Association, our good friends. I'm seeing many in the audience here today. And I want to go back a little bit to what this show really meant for me, because this show was something I always wanted to do. And it was something that we finally got the opportunity in the post-COVID paradigm to really explore this model of activity, particularly in a period when we recognize that there are real issues with food security. Food security has become a real challenge. I think, as Dr. Antoine pointed out, that 52% of the CARICOM population is now food insecure. You know, when you look around this hall, as it will be much later, you're going to be seeing a lot of cottage, micro, medium, small processors. And the idea has always been from the side of the supermarkets, when we recognize, of course, that we're a very import-dependent nation, but to increase that ability to access foods of assured quality in an increasingly food insecure environment is something that you want to work on from a CARICOM level, something from a regional level, and something from the level of the region. And that was when, as Doc pointed out last year, we signed a memorandum of understanding with the CPSO and also with the government of Trinidad and Tobago. And I have to say that it's something we've acted on. We've really built out the parcels and activities of that process when we brought this proposition to the CPSO, when we brought it to our partners, and it's something that we're very much able to work towards that mandate of the reduction of 25% in the food import bill by 2025. That's the ambition. What can we realize through this show? This show is going to feature the exhibitors panels. It's going to have a conference. We're going to get into that conference just now, actually, when all of this has wrapped up. We're going to get into the live kitchen segment. If you guys look at it, it's really amazing. We're going to have some amazing sessions here. And all of this has really been to provide a framework specifically for food and beverage. When you look around this hall, you're going to see a very sector-specific set of actors inside of here. This is a food and beverage forum. From within the value chain, those players have been extracted. This is our opportunity to focus on, from the side of the industry, what we can offer. There are several retailers inside the room. I invite you all, please visit some of these cottage processors, see what can be done and to encourage alternative forms of consumption as well as the traditional ones. And let's work towards a more food secure environment. I just want to thank, in closing, because I think my colleagues my colleague has covered it well, and I'm looking forward to what the minister has to say. I want to thank all our major sponsors for making this show possible. I also want to especially give thanks to the Romarg Investments Group. They have been one of our key sponsors. Without them, this show would not have been possible, and without their involvement. They are very much a Caribbean institution. They're a Caribbean group. They're a network of movers and shakers. And I want to say that we have several similar groups inside of here today, and we are working with all of you. So thank you, welcome to the show, and I look forward to the next 4 days. Thank you.
He's so tall. Thank you very much, Mr. Diptee. Now I would like to invite Senator the Honorable Paula Gopee-Scoon, Minister of Trade and Industry, to the podium.
Thank you very much. And a very good morning to all of you. Let me recognize Mr. Rajiv Diptee, the Chairman of the Caribbean Supermarket Association and President of the Supermarket Association of Trinidad and Tobago. My good colleague from Grenada, Dr. Patrick Antoine, Head of the Caribbean Private Sector Organization Secretariat, and a strong advocate for regional integration in every which way. Mr. Dan Martinez, advisor and consultant to Romarg investments, sponsors and key parties to the agricultural sector. I'm also seeing present at the Chamber of Trinidad and Tobago here with us this morning, and other directors from this Supermarket Association, very distinguished guests, members of the media. And again, really it's my distinct pleasure to be here to deliver what is a feature address at this inaugural Caribbean Food and Beverage Trade event, which really seeks to bring together all major stakeholders in the food and beverage space and to continue the conversation on food security, both domestically and regionally, which is absolutely necessary for today. Again, let me begin by commending this initiative of the Caribbean Supermarket Association and the CARICOM Private Sector Organization, because mainly directly actions an MOU which was signed between them, the CPSO and the CSA, at the very successful Agri-Investment Forum and Expo, which has held only in August of last year. And so today I mark as a significant outcome as their work has begun. This event really supports the mandate laid out by the region to achieve a 25% reduction in the region's food import bill by 2025. And our government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago has been steadfastly working towards ensuring food security and nutrition security for the citizenry, while working towards and working in tandem with member states to achieve this regional goal of 25 by 25. And in so doing, locally, there has been that impetus and drive of boosting production of food domestically and targeting further investment in the food and beverage sector. And of course, reducing the supply chain difficulties that we've all had to endure, particularly during the unprecedented times of the COVID-19 pandemic. The FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization, defines food security as this phenomenon where all people at all times having physical and economic access to sufficient, safe and nutritious foods that meet their dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy lifestyle. And that is indeed where we want to go. And this definition has also been expanded to include dimensions of food availability, food access, utilization and stability, to not only reflect the changes in society, but also to reflect the changes in policy, articulation and development. And food security is identified as a national priority in our National Development Strategy of Trinidad and Tobago, Vision 2030. And therefore, in keeping with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 2, to end hunger and to achieve food security and to improve nutrition and to promote sustainable agriculture, there are a series of measures to bolster our food security with a focus, and we spoke about scale this morning, on upscaling production of food for our domestic use, and for also, very importantly, consolidating value chains for strategic industries, inclusive of poultry and fish and cocoa, and also that is all highlighted in our roadmap, phase 2 roadmap to recovery report. Quite notably, Trinidad and Tobago's food and beverage manufacturing sector, and I must single them out, has been very successful, and we continue to see significant growth. If I look at our exports, we've consistently averaged a yearly amount of 2.5 billion TT dollars in food and beverage exports from 2018 to 2022. And if I look at the 6-month period between October 22 and March 2023, these are fresh figures. Trinidad and Tobago exported 1.5 billion TT dollars in food and beverage products. So it tells you that there is growth. So our top exported food and beverage products would include our cereals, which are known across the region, or aerated beverages, or aromatic bitters, or non-alcoholic beverages, or sweet and unsweetened biscuits, or chocolates, and our beer, with the main export markets being the Caribbean region, the USA, the UK, and also Canada. And that shows our ability to not only to produce at a high quantity, but also at a standard that satisfies international markets. And certainly our local manufacturers are continuing to innovate their product offerings, with companies such as Novo Farms specializing in the production of frozen cassava fries and dashing fries and desiccated coconuts and so on, and associated brands specializing in a line of organic chocolates, and Nestle, who recently launched its almond milk production. And these are just a few of the new products that have come onto the market. But notwithstanding these successes and these production capabilities, the fact is that our food import bill continues to be of concern, ranging in the vicinity of $6 billion annually. So eminently, the range of production locally, and it's something that we have to accept, is still too narrow and must be expanded. And further, looking at our locally manufacturing goods, way too many imports are sourced externally, and way too many inputs are sourced externally, and a clear strategic approach is needed to address that. So yes, we are producing, but however, we are still reliant on a lot of foreign inputs into our manufacturing. And in this regard, we recognize the usefulness of regional value chains to achieve food security through greater collaboration and commercial arrangements with our regional partners. And indeed, the Ministry of Trade and Industry, we have commenced a study on regional value chains for the manufacturing sector. This study is being funded by the Inter-American Development Bank through a technical cooperation agreement and is well underway, with expected completion by August 2023. The study will produce clear regional value chain maps for the manufacturing sector, inclusive of food and beverages, and extended also to chemicals and printing and packaging in Trinidad and Tobago. But additionally, the maps will assist in identifying new and alternate suppliers of inputs within CARICOM for the manufacturing sector, and policy actions that target bottlenecks within the regional supply chains. The study will prove also very useful to the region and to organizations such as the C.E.O. and to other stakeholders present today, as it will identify new opportunities aimed at increasing, at the end of it all, the regional integration of production. I want to look a little bit, because my colleague is not here from the Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Fisheries, and I want to look at more recent investments in the agricultural sector. So again, addressing the question of food security, the government of Trinidad and Tobago, as I said, has adopted a multifaceted approach to boosting local production. However, I must acknowledge all limitations of land mass and climate conditions, which, with the help of technology, can be addressed. And an example of an investment in the agricultural sector with the application of relevant technology is the establishment of Trinidad and Tobago's first berry farm in Tobago, which is a commercially scaled, climate-smart, hydroponic greenhouse farm. And that initial investment saw the construction of a 42,000 square foot greenhouse farm in Tobago with a capacity to produce over 22 tons of fresh berries per month, as well as fresh organic greens once in full operation. And so under the remit of the Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Fisheries also, We've seen small-scale investments in sustainable agricultural production systems by farmers. And some of these systems include the use of integrated farming production systems where farmers simultaneously engage in the production of both livestock and vegetables in the same geographic location. And the utilization also of aquaponics to hydroponically grow plants, the practice of crop rotation and the use of renewable energy, solar power for irrigation and food production and so on. And that's the way in which we're heading. And also that there are youth programs such as the Shade House Project and the Youth Agriculture Homestead Program offered by the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service. And again, this is aimed at developing and harnessing the skills of our young persons to support the very objectives which are before us. And these young persons all have an affinity for agriculture, and so we are equipping them with the necessary tools for success in this particular sector. Additionally, the Ministry of Trade and Industry, through its partner agency, Diptee, has also undertaken investment in physical infrastructure in the form of the Moruga Processing and Light Industrial Park, and that park is completed. And let me use the opportunity to say that this Moruga Processing and Light Industrial Facility is an ideal model and location in which we invite investors to set up their production facilities in. And already we have investment in production facilities for food and vegetable processing and packaging of meals and root crops and processing and pepper, ginger processing. All of these are underway. I want to address in the time that I have the growth opportunities for SMEs. In understanding our objective of food security, let us recognize that this cannot be done without the development of our SME sector. And Trinidad and Tobago indeed also recognizes the challenges faced by them. And there is the need, first and foremost, for them SMEs to improve their quality standards, their capacity, and their production. And they'll address the issue of financing, which is one of the main issues for the growth and development of SMEs. I want to say and bring to the forefront again that there's the opportunity through the Ministry of Trade and Industry for the International Certification Fund, which is to primarily assist our SME exporters in achieving international certification in food and beverage and other product compliance to meet the quality and safety standards of international markets, but also of Trinidad and Tobago, and to increase, of course, import substitution and boost the production of our non-energy products. Very, very important facility if it is that we're going to have the quality standards that are necessary to access markets and to satisfy all. Also, it will allow our firms to successfully position and attach themselves into the very regional value chains which I spoke about earlier. There are also programs that are targeted to Tobago, and I will not dwell on those, but these are also capacity building programs because we want to see the growth of the agricultural sector and the manufacturing sector in Tobago, and we understand their challenges in terms of logistics and so on, and of access to financing and market entry and so on, product development, modification and testing. And that applies, I want to say, to all of our SMEs across Trinidad as well. And it is through the implementation of these programs and improving the packaging and the quality and marketability of our local products that will set us on the path of competitiveness in the first instance, and achieving, as I said before, import substitution, increased exports, and contributing to the goal of food security and, of course, job creation. Let us not forget that. And I know another constraint, and I said it before, is to the growth of SMEs is the access to finance. And I want to say that our government has continued to do its part through what formerly the Loan Guarantee Program, and now what the Ministry of Finance has recently announced, the SME Development Financing Facility, which is being done through 4 commercial banks. Very, very attractive facility in terms of a moratorium for 2 years, a very low interest rate, and a 10-year repayment program. And I also want to commend Republic Bank for their own MSME loan program campaign, which was launched only on Monday of this week. And again, this campaign and that of the government is tailored again to support our SME, our MSMEs, as we see them as significant partners as we speak about food security. What I have to say today would be incomplete if I did not address the question of food prices. And we spoke earlier about the goal of economic access to food. And much of the push towards food security in this region is pursued to reduce the impact of global events on both price and availability of food. And therefore, the increase in food prices as a result of disruptions in major shipping and logistic lines in the Russia-Ukraine ongoing conflict and the protectionist strategies by countries in response to the movements of global food prices, and all of this is recorded by the Food and Agriculture Organization, the result of which is that we saw the food price index increasing substantially during COVID and subsequently. Fortunately, we're seeing now a decrease, and we're seeing a fall to 124.3 points in May 2023, which is the lowest we've seen in 2 years. But if we are to address this question of price, it means that we must increase the availability of food locally and regionally, and it's only that local production and regional production will help us secure the kind of pricing that will make food security a reality for populations locally and regionally. Our reliance on food imports leaves us heavily susceptible to global price fluctuations, which essentially characterizes us as price takers, and therefore we must accept the prices as they are. And while the government continues to do what it can to reduce the effect of these fluctuations through the suspension of the CET, which we have done through the removal of value-added tax on basic food items and support measures, these can only help us to a point. And therefore, if we have to improve food prices, the objective, again, as I said before, must be to produce ourselves locally and regionally, and that will result in lower prices, assuming, of course, that we aren't fully dependent, as I said before, on the inputs which is being addressed through our regional value chain study and policy, which is to come. There will always be limitations to what we can produce, and again, as I said, on account of our small geographics, mass or climatic conditions, and the heavy investment that is required in particular areas. However, we must look to the possibilities that exist before us. Let me also use the opportunity to commend our existing manufacturers that are currently engaged in adapting their manufacturing portfolio by expanding their product lines through the reinvestment in plant and equipment and facilities. And I want to make special mention of those of our importers and retailers who are diversifying their portfolios and investing in manufacturing. And I want to ask many of you here today, the members of the Supermarket Association, and many of you who are distributors and importers, to see the reality and the value in producing yourselves. And we're looking towards you to diversify and to mix your investments within Trinidad and Tobago. That's what we want to see more of. And the truth is, with respect to our efforts towards achieving regional food security, we just can't do it alone as a government, and we really do need you in the private sector to think strategically. It has to be a collaborative effort driven by you and supported by the government. As I conclude, let me say that globally the food and beverage sector is becoming more health-centric driven by a change in consumer food preferences and eating behaviors, particularly post-pandemic. And according to Ernst & Young, this shift requires a reimagination of our manufacturing systems from a commodity-driven supply chain focused on scale to a personalized and value-added food and agriculture ecosystem. And to remain competitive in this dynamic sector, our food and beverage producers, our agro-processors must embrace innovation, technology, sustainability as core principles when making their business decisions. Additionally, to our specialty stores and shops and brands, our restaurants, our distributors, our importers, our exporters present here today, it really is important that you, the key stakeholders, enter into this regional conversation and invest in adaptable, cutting-edge and innovative technologies, and pool your resources to able to really drive the agenda forward. And it is in this light that I wish to show you that the government is here to support you. The Ministry of Trade and Industry or other partner ministries and agencies will continue to implement initiatives aimed at supporting the food and beverage sector and to those who play an important role in its ecosystem, and to realize inevitably to the goal of a more sustainable, a more health conscious and a vibrant food and beverage sector. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I believe you would have been served a very delicious drink for those of you who tested it. That is our toast that has been provided by the House of Nestle. It is a mocktail, a virgin pineapple colada. So if you still have your glasses, if you could raise them, please. Who still has a glass? So in honor of the opening of the Caribbean Food and Beverage event, cheers. And now I would like to invite to the stage for our vote of thanks, Mr. Curtis Mohammed. He's the Executive Director of the Caribbean Supermarket Association. He is an energy and manufacturing sector business professional specializing in low carbon mobility and renewables. And Mr. Mohammed has over 30 years of experience in both sectors in Trinidad and Tobago, and with a significant international exposure. Mr. Mohammed has considerable experience in the oil and gas industries, alternate fuels transportation, renewables, beverage and fuel alcohol industries. His diverse background and extensive involvement in these sectors gives him a comprehensive understanding of the industry landscape. Let us welcome Mr. Curtis Mohammed.
Thank you, Samantha. Ladies and gentlemen, what an incredible journey we have just embarked upon. This is a launch not only of a food and beverage new arrangement, a new installation in the landscape of Trinidad, it's also the launch of the Caribbean Supermarket Association. On behalf of the entire team, I extend my deepest gratitude to each and every one of you for gracing this occasion with your presence. And we are immensely honored to have had the privilege of hearing from Dr. Antoine. Thank you very much. A lot of good information, fantastic perspectives. We also like to thank Dan Martinez and his organization for helping making this happen. Your vision, your dedication, and your respective fields make a difference in the food industry, so we thank you very much for that. A special word of thanks is extended to the Honorable Minister Schoon. Always good to see you, Minister of Trade and Industry. Your presence here today and your continued support for the CSA and our efforts have served as a beacon of hope for us and for others. We would also like to express, even though it has not yet happened, our thanks to the panelists that will be part of the conference over the next 3 days, today, tomorrow, Friday, for their time, taking the time, the effort, and letting us hear their views about food security, right? So, promoting food security in the Caribbean is key, is truly commendable. I'd also like to give a special thanks to Samantha Best for organizing and being part of our team here. She will just join us in respecting our efforts as well. So thank you as well to Crave for all the food and all the food vendors who have tantalized us here with these, and they'll be continuing to do that for the rest of this week. I'd also like to thank the CSA team. Special thanks again to Rajiv, to Fernand Basad. Your effort, your contribution and dedication makes a difference in all that you do. And as we conclude this opening ceremony, let us carry forward the spirit of collaboration with our Caribbean colleagues, innovation, we hope that will be ignited here today and over the next few days. Together we'll seize the opportunities that lie ahead, address the challenges that we face. We we've studied, we know what we have to do. We have to now put into action the words that we've all been echoing. We need to work towards a future where food security is a reality. That 52% is frightening, is a very daunting information that we heard today. And that is a reality that is not just Trinidad and Tobago, it's the rest of the Caribbean. So we have some work to do, and we will do it. So thank you all very much. Enjoy the rest of the event, and thank you all again.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and media members, as we conclude this thrilling opening ceremony, we would like to invite you to embark on an exciting journey through the vibrant world of Caribbean food and beverages. We are honored to have with us today all our esteemed guests who have graced us with their presence. So to further enrich this extraordinary experience, we cordially invite Senator the Honorable Paula Gopee-Scoon, Minister of Trade and Industry, to participate in a delightful walkabout among our Caribbean food and beverage exhibitors.